today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the DC Collectibles The Suicide Squad Deadshot. From the pages of the New 52, Deadshot is one of 3 figures being released through the Suicide Squad toy line. Now, along with Deadshot, we also, of course, got a Harley Quinn and we get a Captain Boomerang. All 3 figures, however, do cost, or at least cost me, $27.99, which I don't want to bog down certainly a review like I did with Harley Quinn discussing the cost of figures nowadays, but at $28 really, and that's $28 plus tax. You start going to around $30 a figure. $30 for a figure that not that long ago you were looking at about $15 to $18 per figure. Now you start looking at $28. And as things go for even such as Marvel Select figures, if you get a large Marvel Select figure, that could cost you about $18 to $20. This figure is $8 on top of that. And when you start looking at figures such as even like the Venom and even recently, even things like, the Thor and Iron Man 3, War Machine and Iron Man Mark 42. Those figures, same size, maybe a little bit taller, had lots more of accessories, a display base, in some cases dioramas as well, and they were about less than $20. This figure, when you start looking at $28, it gets a little too much. Just because you put it in a big, nice, visible window box does not make for charging what they charge for figures. It's kind of ridiculous. On the side of the box, there is a picture of Deadshot. This figure measures approximately 9.75 inches tall. This particular one was sculpted by Dave Cortez. And on the other side of the box, just a silhouette of Deadshot. On the back, the other 2 figures that you can get, Captain Boomerang and Harley Quinn. The read-up says, based on their new designs from the DC Comics, the New 52, you can now add Deadshot, one of the sadistic members of the Suicide Squad, to your action figure collection. Spot's going to take himself a break, going to get this open up, and when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the DC Comics, the New 52 Deadshot. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. As it goes with accessories, Deadshot does come with a machine gun. Really decked out machine gun. I can look at all of the things that are on this. There's about 3 different sights on the top there as well. And just really a lot of detail. Now granted, it doesn't really have a lot of paint to it. It's just one singular silver if you really exclude the 2 red sights at the top there. It is really an interesting looking gun, certainly for the level of detailing that was put into it. Some really nice work. However, Deadshot does not come with a display stand, nor really does the other 2 figures in this set, Captain Boomerang and Harley Quinn. None of them really come with display stands. Whatever a display stand cost, 8 cents, 10 cents, even probably 2 cents to produce, could have easily thrown it in there. Could have said Suicide Squad, something to, once again, justify $28. But anyways, I'm not going to... Again, I don't want to bog down a review with my personal opinions of how much figures certainly cost. Let's have a look at the figure itself. And with really all the New 52 designs, you may not like all of them. Some of them have interesting origins. Some of them certainly have interesting transitions from where they started in the Silver Age and Golden Age comics to where we got now. Some of them have pretty good transitions where you can see a figure now and you can think to yourself, that's a logical way that they could have approached this figure. While I don't necessarily like the designs of Harley Quinn, she's not bad, but kind of miss the older design of Harley Quinn, I really actually like Deadshot. Deadshot looks pretty good. I don't know if it was intentional, but I can see some inspiration taken from perhaps things like Dead Space for the way that the design looks on the helmet itself. Perhaps to no coincidence. Maybe there is a coincidence, maybe there isn't. But I kind of look at it and I kind of think of some of the video games that we got coming out now where this armor is very reminiscent of that. Of course, being Deadshot, Having the one singular scope on the side of his helmet is included here as well. And really, they've taken elements from what Deadshot has always been, coloring-wise, and they've just kind of toned down the coloring. So instead of bright red, bright yellow, and silver, we've now got things such as a more dark, almost a brownish cranberry that makes up the majority of his suit. His suit also looks like it's almost like a wetsuit. Very tight, very fitted, and then he's got the armor plates over top. He's got the silver, which from a distance, it kind of looks like it's been hammered out. It's got like a hammered out look to it, like he's actually built this himself. The yellow, now been replaced with a darker gold, I think works really, really well. And really, the majority of that color scheme carries all the way through the body of Deathstroke, or Deadshot. Now, it does seem like, really, elements that we would have seen before with Deadshot carried over exactly the same way with the new update. So, yellow boots, yellow gloves, now gold boots, gold gloves, and this silver plating everywhere. I like it, though. I like this design of him. He's also got a couple of holders on the front for what probably I could imagine be his magazine clips, possibly for his gun. How accessible they would be probably from the front, that I don't know, but I guess if in the heat of battle you probably could still reach over and grab magazine clips from your chest. He's still got the side guns, still something that's very common with Deathstroke. I keep calling him Deathstroke Deadshot, but he still has the same side cannons that Deadshot would have had before. Again, once again in the gold. And I really like the fact that his hands or gloves do rotate. So, still having him firing from the guns. If his arms were like that and you wouldn't be able to rotate his arms, it kind of takes away from the fact that he has it. But luckily they did have it where you could rotate the arms as well. Something probably also that you noticed at the time that I rotated those arms is that his shoulders are articulated. They rotate up and they rotate back down, depending on how far the arms are currently sitting. If the arms are sitting further down, you can kind of just bring those shoulder pads down. But if we rotate the figure around, you can see that where they sit on those hinges, these little pivot points here. They're just pegged in on the sides. And really, you could bring them all the way up if you wanted to. It is just entirely your choice. And really, by having them up, they're not going to move on you anyways. I kind of like them just a little bit further down, though. Surprisingly, he actually has a lot of articulation, something that Harley didn't really have. Whereas Harley had just a single swivel in the legs, Deadshot actually has quite a bit of articulation, starting with his head is on a really nice ball joint, and I mean really nice. It moves back and forth, up and down quite easily. We've already discussed the shoulders. They do hinge forward, hinge back, hinge out. He has a rotation in the bicep, single bend in the elbow, rotation also in the forearm, right at the glove area. He has no waist swivel or anything like that. I can see why they just didn't want to break up the detailing in the sculpt here. That makes perfect sense. Then his legs actually, instead of just going forward and back, they also go out. They're not really doing much in the way of DC figures anymore, DC Universe figures, but this would have been the prime way that they really should have marketed their DC figures with the leg articulation. I still don't really like that split cut that they did in the thigh area. I mean, this is a much easier method to go, and really, I don't know why Marvel Legends figures don't go this route either. It's just so much easier to move and pivot and pose the legs in any which way that you want. The only downside, though, is you can probably see, though, he does not swivel in the leg. But if you had a cut right at the thigh, you could still rotate the thigh. He does have a single bend in the knee, rotation also in the boot area, and a bend in the foot. It's a nice figure, but it's just a shame he doesn't really have any display base. If he had a display base, you could kind of have a little more of a dynamic pose. But I mean, without it, you can still get a lot of poses out of him, but you just have to keep him kind of more flush to whatever you're standing him on. Deathstroke, I think, turned out well. It's an updated look to the character, and it's a look that I like. I think it turned out really good. And it goes to show that not all new 52 designs are horrendous. Some of them actually are pretty good. This one is one of them. Deadshot, though Spot keeps calling him Deathstroke. Deadshot, I'm going to give Deathshot here an 8.5. Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the DC Collectibles Suicide Squad Deadshot. Stay tuned. Right around the corner, Spot's going to have a look at the Captain Boomerang figure that was also part of this line as well. Stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.